It was 6:30 in the morning when the city was still half asleep. The tall glass building of Bright Star Industries gleamed under the soft sunrise, and a middle-aged woman named Maria quietly pushed her cleaning cart through the marble lobby. Her hands were rough, her back ached, and her tired eyes told stories of sleepless nights, but she still smiled as she wiped every surface to perfection. Maria worked in silence, humming a tune that no one else could hear. But that morning, as she stretched to clean a high shelf, her sleeve slipped down, revealing dark bruises along her arm. She quickly pulled the sleeve back down, glancing around nervously. She thought no one saw her, but someone did. From the mezzanine above, David Collins, the CEO of Brightstar, had arrived early for the first time in weeks, and the sight of those bruises stopped him cold. Before we dive deeper into this emotional story of courage, compassion, and unexpected kindness, don't forget to subscribe to Whispers of Goodness. If you love real stories that remind us how powerful kindness can be, hit the like button and share your thoughts in the comments below. Your support helps us spread more light in the world. David Collins was not the kind of man people found easy to approach. He was sharp, disciplined, and intimidating. Employees often whispered when he passed by. Nobody wanted to make a mistake around him. To many, he was the boss, not a person. But that morning, as he watched Maria quietly return to her cleaning, something stirred inside him. Those bruises, the way she flinched every time someone walked by, the way she kept her head down, it wasn't normal. He stayed quiet, just observing for a few minutes. She was meticulous, even graceful in her work. She picked up candy wrappers left behind by late-night staff and polished the elevator doors until they gleamed like mirrors. But he noticed her limping slightly. David felt uneasy. It had been years since he'd personally spoken to anyone outside his executive circle. But something about Maria made him pause his usual rush toward the corner office. Later that morning, as the office filled with chatter and the smell of coffee, Maria wheeled her cart toward the break room. David followed discreetly. He didn't know what he would say. He didn't even know how to start a conversation without sounding like a boss interrogating an employee. When Maria turned around and saw him, she froze. The CEO of the company was standing right behind her. "Good morning," David said softly, trying to sound casual. "You're here early." Maria's hands trembled slightly as she gripped her mop handle. "Yes, sir. I always start early. The floors dry better before everyone comes in." David smiled faintly. "You do a great job. This place always looks spotless." She nodded, unsure how to respond. No one had ever complimented her work before, not like that. David hesitated, then gently asked, "Maria, are you okay? I noticed your arm earlier. Are you hurt?" For a moment, she didn't speak. Her face turned pale. "Oh, it's nothing. Just an accident." She tried to laugh it off, but her eyes gave her away. David didn't push her. He simply said, "If you ever need anything at all, you can come to me directly, all right?" Maria nodded quickly, her eyes filling with tears. "Thank you, sir," she whispered. That day, David couldn't focus on work. His meetings blurred together, and his assistant had to remind him twice about lunch. His mind kept drifting back to the quiet cleaner with bruised arms and weary eyes. He had seen poverty before. He'd grown up in a rough neighborhood, raised by a single mother who cleaned houses just to put food on the table. Maybe that's why it hit him so hard. Maria reminded him of her. After work, he stayed late, pretending to go through reports. When most employees had left, he saw Maria again, sweeping near the elevators. She looked exhausted. He walked up to her again, holding a cup of hot tea. "You look like you could use this," he said. Her eyes widened in surprise. "Oh, no, sir, I can't. Please," he insisted with a smile. "Just tea, no strings attached." Maria finally accepted it with trembling hands. "Thank you, Mr. Collins." They stood in silence for a moment before David spoke again. "Maria, tell me honestly, are you safe at home?" Her lips quivered. She looked down, tears rolling down her cheeks. "My husband, he lost his job last year. He drinks now. When he gets angry, she stopped, unable to continue." David's chest tightened. "I'm so sorry," he said quietly. "No one deserves that. Not ever." She wiped her tears quickly, embarrassed. "Please, sir, don't tell anyone. I can't lose this job. It's all I have." David nodded solemnly. "You won't lose your job. But I can't just ignore this, Maria. You deserve help. You deserve peace." The next morning, Maria came to work as usual, expecting nothing to change. But when she entered the building, she was greeted by the HR manager, who smiled warmly and said, "Maria, Mr. Collins would like to see you in his office." Her heart pounded. Had she said too much? Was she about to be fired? She knocked softly and stepped inside. David was sitting behind his desk, but his expression was gentle. "Good morning, Maria," he said. "Please, sit down." She sat nervously, clutching her hands in her lap. David slid a folder across the table. "I want to offer you a new position. It's still part of our maintenance team, but with better pay, fixed hours, and benefits. You'll also get access to company housing if you'd like to move somewhere safer." Maria's mouth fell open. I don't understand. "Why are you doing this?" David smiled faintly. "Because you've given this place more care than most people ever notice. Because kindness deserves to be rewarded, and because no one should suffer alone." Tears streamed down her face. "I don't know what to say." "Say yes," David said gently. A few weeks passed, and the change in Maria was remarkable. She moved into a small company apartment provided by Bright Star. Her son, who had been afraid to come home before, finally slept peacefully at night. She walked to work every day with a lighter step, her bruises fading, her smile growing brighter. People in the office began to notice her warmth, her laughter, her kindness. Some even started bringing her coffee in the mornings. And word spread about the CEO, who had noticed a cleaner's bruises and changed her life. At first, people thought it was a rumor. CEOs didn't usually notice people like Maria. But when David quietly implemented a new company policy offering support for employees facing domestic abuse, everyone knew it was true. He never made a public announcement. Months later, on a sunny Friday morning, Bright Star held its annual staff appreciation event. For the first time, Maria was invited to the stage. Her hands shook as she accepted a small glass plaque that read, "For your dedication, your kindness, and your courage." When she looked out into the audience, she saw David smiling proudly. She took a deep breath and said into the microphone, "I used to think people like me didn't matter, that no one noticed the ones who cleaned after hours or came before dawn. But someone did, and that kindness gave me the strength to change my life." The room went silent. Then came a standing ovation that lasted nearly a minute. David didn't say anything afterward. He simply nodded at her from across the room. Didn't want applause. He just wanted to make sure no one else felt invisible.